In my very first job I ever had out of college, I worked in a university and was reporting directly to a very senior level of the university. We were working on a big project, and he asked me to join him in a meeting with the university president. Now, I was just out of college, I was young, I had all kinds of thoughts and ideas, and I had very little emotional intelligence. And so during this meeting, the president requested something of my team, and I piped up and immediately told her that that just could not be done. Afterwards, as we were walking out of the meeting, the senior leader that I reported to pulled me aside right away and he said, "Kate, we need to have a conversation." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "What you just said back there, you pushed back directly to the president." And I said, "Mm-hmm." And he said, "That's not good." And I said, "What do you mean?" Because I don't know. I was young and green and didn't even realize that I had made a mistake. And he said to me, "That's not how this president operates. She does not appreciate when very junior people push back to her. And there's also different ways that you could have phrased that." And then he said to me something so important. And he said to me, "I want you to be successful in the workplace. I want you to be a great person who is able to excel in their job. But you've got to learn how to curb your emotions, and you've got to learn how to politically correctly influence things in a way that doesn't leave a negative impression with people." And that was a total blind spot to me. It's something I didn't even realize that I had. I thought being direct and blunt was a wonderful trait. And I have learned through the years that there are ways to get my point across without being so direct. If I hadn't had someone pull me aside and tell me that piece of feedback when I was 22 years old, I would have spent a lot of my early career probably struggling with that concept. Instead, I had someone who genuinely cared about my professional development pull me aside, have a 5-minute conversation, and that piece of feedback has carried with me for over 20 years now. You need to be that person in the workplace. Be that manager. Be that person to point out blind spots to people. Be that person who so passionately cares about growing and developing your employees that you're willing to have a very brief but tough conversation with them. Believe me, they will appreciate it. I want you to think, if there's anyone who's had such an impactful conversation with you in your career at any point, who's been there for you? Who's given you that feedback? Or when were there times that you wish you had had feedback and no one shared it with you? Be the change. Be the one to break that feedback cycle. Be the one to share the important feedback with your employees, both positive and constructive. You are the one that is able to help influence this next generation of employees coming up into the workplace.